The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
Just before my words of prayer, it's a beautiful house to be able to stand in. It's an honor to be here again today. In prayer, God, Great Spirit, Allah, Jesus, Adonai, by the many names from those who address you, grant our nation and our state the will and wherewithal to fulfill its calling to justice, liberty, and equality for all. May each of us fulfill our responsibilities of citizenship with care, generosity, and gratitude, ever conscious of the extraordinary blessing of freedom, ever mindful of our duties to one another. Bless those who labor on behalf of us all, born citizens, immigrants, refugees, Native Americans, all who are in this land, Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, those of any faith or no faith, all of us who are blessed to be part of this great state of Minnesota and these United States of America. May these leaders find the strength and courage to complete their tasks and fulfill their dreams. May our judges and our elected leaders on all levels, all who hold public office, exercise their responsibilities with wisdom, fairness, dignity, and justice for all. Fill them with love and kindness and bless them that they may walk with integrity on the paths of peace and righteousness. And fill us with the gift of love and courage that we may create a world that reflects your glory. And may we each respond to the charge of the prophet Micah, for what does the Holy One demand of us but to act justly, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. May the one who brings peace on high bring peace and prosperity to our entire world, to our whole nation, and to all of the people of the great state of Minnesota. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Rabbi Lynn C. Liberman, community chaplain from Jewish Family Services of St. Paul, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will take the roll. Clerk will close the roll. Quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 90th Session, 2017, 9th day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Thursday, January 26, 2017.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved by the chief clerk. The member from Hennepin, Representative Flanagan, for what purpose do you rise?
Point of personal privilege.
State your point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to recognize a guest who is with us today. State Senator Kevin Killer is here from our neighboring state of South Dakota. Kevin spent 8 years in the House, so he is House trained and now in the Senate. And I just wanted to just acknowledge this leader that we have from our neighboring state. So if we could please recognize Senator Kevin Killer.
Reports of standing committees and divisions. A copy of this order of business has been placed on each member's desk. If there's no objection, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Second reading of House files.
Second reading, House File number 296.
Second reading. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The chief clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction of first reading of House Files 599 through 672.
First reading, House Files 599 through 672. Reports of standing committees and divisions.
Report from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration. Pepin from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rule 1.21, designates the following bill to be placed on the calendar for today for Monday, January 30th, 2017. House File number 244.
Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is House File 244. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 244, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to property tax administration, the first engrossment.
Recognize the member from Fillmore, Representative Davids, to introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, and there's an amendment I'd like to take up first.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Davids moves to amend House File number 244, the first engrossment, as follows, and the amendment is coded A3.
Recognize the member from Fillmore, Representative Davids, to introduce your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. What the amendment does is it moves the date forward from the 1st of February. We're not going to be able to make that. The Senate hasn't heard the bill yet. I believe they hear it on Wednesday, to February 10th, and then that gives the counties, they can move their date from February 15th to the 25th for meetings for the Board of Equalization. I appreciate your support.
Any discussion on the A3 amendment? The member from Clay, Representative Marquardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members, and thank you so much to Chair Davids for bringing this amendment forward in House File 244. I ask members to adopt this amendment and to also approve of the bill. This will help our townships around the state have a more efficient system when they have their Board of Equalization meetings. So I ask all members to support the amendment and the bill.
Any further discussion on the Davids A3 amendment? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of adoption of the A3 amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Now we're back to the bill as, there are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 244, as amended.
Third reading. I recognize the member from Fillmore, Representative Davids, to introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill as amended allows the sitting town boards to be eligible to conduct their 2017 meetings as long as they have a certified member by February 10th. That's a result of the amendment. This came to us from the township officers. They got in a little bind here, and so we're trying to help them out. I worked closely with the Department of Revenue, so the Department of Revenue is fine with this, and I'd like to thank Chair Drazkowski. I'd especially like to thank Representative Marquardt for your help on this issue, and also Mr. Sulam and Mr. Paul Cummings from the department helped out, because it may not seem like a big bill, but it kind of is to the townships, and it got real tricky with the various dates we had to move around, and so I'd like to thank everyone for their help. Appreciate your support.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 128 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to. Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there's no objection, we'll take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail. There is a motion at the desk. The clerk will report the motion.
Swazinski moves that House File Number 299 be recalled from the Committee on Government Operations and Elections Policy and be re-referred to the Committee on Taxes.
Recognize the member from Lyon, Representative Swedzinski. To your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill just simply deals with the purchase of construction materials, and I've talked to the chairs, and they're excited to have the transfer.
Any discussion on the Swedzinski motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of adopting the Swedzinski motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. There is another motion at the desk. The clerk will report the motion.
Freiberg moves that House File Number 456 be recalled from the Committee on Government Operations and Election Policy and be re-referred to the Committee on Taxes.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Freiberg. To your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is identical to Representative Swazinski's bill, so what he said.
I'm sure there will be discussion now. Any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. Announcements. The member from Hennepin, Representative Loon.
Mr. Speaker, this is for all of the new members to the House chamber this year. This is an extension of your new member orientation. So you maybe recall, we do a session on House procedure and parliamentary procedure on the House chamber during orientation. But because the Capitol was still under construction, we couldn't get you over there. So today, 15 minutes after session ends, you're going to have a session here on the floor. Our chief clerk, Patrick Murphy, will be conducting it. And he told me you're actually going to meet in the House retiring room, have discussion there for a few minutes, and then you will come out here onto the House floor for the rest of the session. He said it would last probably about 45 minutes to an hour. So I hope all the new members will be able to stay for that. Thank you.
The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. GOP members of the Environment, Natural Resources Policy and Finance Committee will meet in 300 South immediately after session.
The member from Sherburne, Representative Knobloch.
Mr. Speaker, members, the Ways and Means Committee meeting will be tomorrow night. Ways and Means will meet tomorrow night at 6:30, room 200, to take up House File 14, as well as continue reviewing the governor's budget.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hertas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to just invite all members of the House to an event a week from tonight after session. The Freedom Foundation, we have an educational opportunity that will include a catered dinner, and will be 3 interest areas of our legislation for this year. Thank you.
Announcements. The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm not sure if this is an announcement. It may be more of a parliamentary inquiry. My question is, how do bills and bill introductions get assigned to the appropriate committees? I'm looking at a bill that was introduced today relating to taxation, which bill number 605, which was referred to the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources Finance. And looking at the bill, it appears to deal with a city celebration and taxation rather than environment and natural resources. So I don't know if that's an error, or what would be the parliamentary inquiry that is that assigned properly?
Representative Hansen, the bill was referred to that committee. We'll review that and see if it's appropriate. If it's not, we can make a motion at the next session to re-refer it. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any further announcements? Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 12:15, Wednesday, February 1st, 2017.
Representative Pepin moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 12:15 p.m., Wednesday, February 1st, 2017. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. The member from Hennepin, Representative Pepin.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Pepin moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails, and the House stands adjourned until 12:15 p.m. on Wednesday, February 1st, 2017.